Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Enemy Speak Out Session. This is your girl Shannon. I'm here with the amazing Mr. Jared L. White. How
Good
you doing?
morning, good afternoon, good evening. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm excited for today. We have another amazing guest for us today. So another Temple alum. We clearly have a trend going on here. Temple is
Yeah, because all the fly people came from Temple. All the smart ones came from Temple. They try to act like we didn't, but they know what it is.
so he is the founder of the nonprofit Banksgiving that focuses on social and economic development. He is a youth and financial literacy advocate, a social entrepreneur, the one and only Mr. Christopher Banks. Ba-dum-bum.
Hey,
We get along.
thanks for having me, you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on the show.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for joining us. Like we really appreciate this, and we respect all that you're doing for the community. So thank you so much.
Right. I just want to say there is something special about Chris because this is what I do with everybody. I don't even remember the first class we had together. I don't, but we had a couple. And your vibe is right. So I feel like you've always been a genuine person. So I just
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on today.
Nah, I appreciate that, and you always certainly show me love and good spirits and things like that as well. So it was nothing once you asked or extended the hand out, to come on the show.
Thank you so much. So we're gonna get down to it. Everybody gets the same first question. How has the current social climate impacted you, either professionally, personally?
Yeah, I think it's a few ways. I would say from the social climate professionally, I think that it has at least put a lot of organizations who are typically ran by white people. I think it has put them in positions to feel like they need to do more, um, and whether that's more from a financial aspect or more to opening their eyes, more to understanding different people's views and what they go through. I think that that is I guess, the positive and the negative. I think that personally, I think that it probably has driven some friends or some lifelong colleagues towards different sides of the aisle. And, that's hurtful as well, because whether it was a white person, Spanish person, whatever it is, seeing how they really feel about things and the things that they're willing to overstep or not notice is like, yo, like me and you homies. Like how does that not affect you too? And you know that those people look like me or that could have been me or so forth. So I think it's had a lot of impacts in varying degrees.
Has that affected any of your relationships? That last bit of what you talked about, because sometimes I've worked in corporate America now for 10 years, and I've had so many white colleagues and white friends and people who aren't black in my circle, and I've had to question that. Has that affected any of your relationships?
Maybe on their end, I think from my end, uh, a lot of these things I felt like I've known. At least, certainly, it's been some surprises with friends throughout this time. I know that even when you get into dialogue on, I don't know how often y'all use Facebook. I actually still like Facebook.
Yeah.
So on Facebook, you find friends from high school and middle school and so forth. And depending on how diverse your background is, they could be white people or whatever. So a lot of friends are like, yo, I played football with you since we was 11 years old.
Yeah.
Why are you talking like this now? So I've had a few friends block me because of my views, because I'm also the person that if you're saying something crazy on your page, I will go there and essentially check you in front
Right.
of your base, and people don't typically like that. So I've had friends block me, and I don't know where that goes from there. I haven't seen them,
Right.
since, but it's tough. It's tough, but I also think that for some people who aren't as outspoken, for the better or for worse, it has created a platform where everyone feels free to say how they feel. And ultimately, maybe that works out for everybody.
True.
Man, that's a word because honestly, the same thing happened to me. I had to block a couple people.
Right.
I got into confrontations on Facebook, which I always think is interesting. But yeah, some boundaries are definitely being set in where we are now.
Right.
So let's hop into Thanksgiving because I'm all about financial literacy, like in my
Yeah.
older years, and I want you to talk about everything that's going on with that.
Certainly. So, a little background. So, the Banksgiving company is a company that I started in 2016, and really it came from just um, a genuine place in my heart where I felt like as an adult, much like yourself, I was learning a lot of things that I felt like I should have known before. So at the time when I was, as Jared said, in the corporate world, and there was a lot of things I was learning about, and a lot of people was like, "Wait, you went to college? Like your teachers didn't tell you this, your parents
Right.
didn't tell you this?" And I'm like, "Well, no, when? Like, didn't understand what 401ks were, didn't understand the stock market. I thought that to get into the stock market, you needed $30,000
Mhm.
just to walk in the front door, and there was a lot of things that are much more elementary financial elementary from a financial perspective before then that was just like, yo, I don't if I think that I'm one of the bright ones of my neighborhood, of my family, or so to speak, if I don't know this, imagine how many other people don't know this. And so I found the need that people where I'm from in Philadelphia and started off in North Philadelphia, these kids don't know this. How much more powerful would I have been? How much powerful would they be if at 13, 16, whatever age that was, if they were able to understand some of these financial practices? And so I started it. It ended up being, I'm sorry, it started off being quarterly seminars where we would just talk about a subject and just try to break that down. Like, then it started to be monthly. Then we started to get school district contracts and outside organizations, and it ended up being something pretty good. I would say one of the things that I learned throughout it, and I think a lot of Black folks do this, like we start nonprofits to create spaces that aren't already there, but not understanding that a nonprofit is a business as well.
Mhm.
So certainly for me, it was like, wait, so like I still got to pay for this room reservation, or like people ain't just gonna be giving me money,
Right.
So then those things started to change when it was like you had to actually create a business plan and understand how you were going to annually create income and revenue to even pay for those things. Like, it's only so far we just ask for donations, and certainly donations are a big part of it, but you also have to have a business model as well. So I would say probably took me probably about a year or so just to understand that. But I often think that I can see why a lot of nonprofits fail, not fully understanding how that world works.
Right.
Can you expand a little bit on the importance of, because I know you touched on it, but just the importance of financial literacy within our community, especially learning earlier, because now I feel like we all have access to like social media and we're all seeing these things, but I still feel like we're not taking as much of advantage of it, and we're still not really applying it to our lives. Like you just talked about how important it is.
Well, it's super important because if you talk to anybody of any age, child, adult, we all have goals, ideas, whatever it is that's stemming around money. Now, that's not to say that money is the number one driver, but certainly everything costs, right? It's not a lot of things that are free. Even if you just want to live comfortable, it costs, like nothing is free. So I say that to say, understanding where your money is coming in from, where your money is going out, how to plan to get there, just at a basic level, understanding how to budget and knowing again your income and your expenses is major that I think that you can start teaching kids as soon as they start to count. One of the ways that I also noticed that as well was my daughter starting off very young. She was doing some of this stuff. Now, certainly I could put all my energy into her and I will, but it would be much more powerful if I could reach hundreds of thousands of others.
Right.
So I do think that with technology, I want to, and again, I'm in that world, so I probably see it a little differently. But I want to think that people are more aware nowadays. I'm not sure how they're actually putting it into practice, everybody. But I think that we at least know. I say that for a lot of my, like literally, when I got into those boardrooms and things, and I was talking to people, I literally didn't know. And at that time, I was about 23. Like I literally, like because and definitely growing up in Philadelphia, I think the plan was like you graduate high school. If you graduate high school, you go to college. You go to college, you get an internship. After your internship, you beg them to get a job. They're gonna start you at 30, 40,000. You know, I don't know. You'll reach six figures at a certain time. When you're 55, 60, you retire, and then you
Right.
can start doing fun things.
Right.
Like that was like kind of like my projection of like life and what success meant. And that changed when I started to see that other people didn't look at it like that.
Right. So do you think it's important, or do you agree? Because I feel like I've just learned you have to have multiple streams of income. You can't rely on just one stream of income, because what if that goes away? I mean,
Hmm.
we're in a pandemic now. A lot of people have lost a stream of income and now they don't know what to do.
So you asked me, is it important? What was the
Yeah, do
question?
you agree that you need to have multiple streams of income? What is
Yeah,
your
like,
Oh,
and just
no
the
doubt.
power of that.
Yeah. Well, certainly, I think you need to do it. One, because the books that I said to these millionaires,
Yeah.
they be doing it. The other side is that you really do feel it in things like this. Now, certainly, we are in a time that we've never seen before in our life, and maybe, hopefully, won't ever see again. But I think it hit a lot of people. I was like, oh, I need to be doing something. One of the things I tell some of the young people in my program, excuse me, it's like this is probably like some of the best times. One, being young, and certainly in the pandemic, to try new things, or just to hustle, just to do something, right? So that could start from whatever it is that you like. Most kids start with like a t-shirt line or something like that. Like whatever it is, find the need. And through my organization, I had 8 young women this past month, and they created hand sanitizers and masks. Right, like that was perfect. Right, we found the need, we found the market, and they created it themselves. Right, understanding from scratch how to make hand sanitizer, how to bottle it up, how to the packaging, all of that, right? So these, most of them, I say on average, they're about 15 years old. I think that things like that, by the time they're 19, 20, 23,
Right.
they're going to be millionaires because they already have it logically in their head that, like, I understand what works, I understand what doesn't work. I know how to make some extra money for myself. I'm going to always have a hustle. I'm going to always get a different stream of income. Um, but to your point, as adults, certainly, as you said, Shannon, you have a child, like losing one stream of income can throw you off.
Right.
So if that's your only thing, it's like it's not even fair to my child for
Right.
me to, be this age and want him or her to have a certain life, and I put myself in a position where if I make one false move, their whole life is messed up. Even if I can survive off that, that's not fair to them.
Right.
And so certainly it matters a whole lot, but it also is step by step. Like, so like I'm not the person that's like everybody should be doing this.
Mhm.
I think that we also notice that we have more time on our hands than we think,
Mhm.
and these things can happen.
Right.
Are there any like do's and don'ts to the multiple incomes? Because I listen, I will see all the YouTube videos where they're like go on, do be an Amazon affiliate and start a blog. They want you to make books and stuff. Like, are there any like do's and don'ts or routes that people should be taking when they want to get on that path to multiple income streams?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the best person for that question. I don't look at myself as the financial guru of the world. In
Hmm.
fact, in fact, part of the reason why I think that my program has done so well, definitely from a seminar aspect, is that I bring in other people who typically look like me, who are business owners and executives within their organizations, and say, "Hey, Jared, I know how to do my taxes, but if you work in taxes every day and you're an accountant, then why don't you come in for a half hour and talk about it from your perspective?" Or
Got
Shannon, if you are a fashion designer. All these kids like fashion, but let's talk about the economic or the financial impacts and how they can actually get into that now. So I say that, like, I don't get up there like, listen, I said this, y'all better do that. This the way to get 10
Right.
million. Um, but I do understand that there are just some basic aspects, and I always say that that starts with a budget, and really a budget is just a plan, just understanding what's coming in, what's going out, and creating space where if one thing falls off, you at least can prepare for it, as opposed to, I think a lot of people, we aren't prepared for those unforeseen emergencies and happenings, and that really is what sets us back, especially as Black people who are already behind the economic hard economic hardships for since beginning of
Right.
America, at least. Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I think I saw this. I don't know if it was a podcast. Again, I think it was on Facebook. I don't remember what platform it was on, but you were talking about basically we kind of keep selling the dream of only certain ways to gain income. So whether or be a millionaire, whether it be sports or rap. and
Mhm.
we don't kind of give children and youth the avenue or avenues other than that to make it big. Like you have to be a
Mhm.
rapper, you have to be an athlete, and that's the one track we set. And I think you said we need to kind of do better when we're kind of are telling our children of ways to be successful. Can you just talk about that? I don't remember what you said. It was really eloquent, better than I said it, but
Yeah, so I think so. I to put myself in their shoes, right? So I started playing football when I was like probably 7 or 8 years old, which I think a lot of black males in urban environments start to do, whether it's basketball, football, boxing, whatever that is. And all my life, I thought that that was going to be my ticket. So going into high school, going into college was like, yeah, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do this, but like football is gonna be what opens the door, right? My parents, my mom didn't go to college, my stepfather didn't go to college, my dad didn't go to college, so all of that was new to them. So they like, yeah, people making money, yeah, keep playing football, you kind of good. Um, so I could go into a long story about that, but basically, the way I look at it, if the average kid starts to play football around 7 to 8 years old, before you actually can even get an income, is probably, you know 21, 22 years old or so. So you're spending 14 to 15 years dedicated to a career. I happen to believe that, but before you can make a dollar, I happen to believe that if we started teaching these kids about business, finance, entrepreneurship at 7, 8 years old, and now they got 14 years of doing that, like I'm not surprised if that kid creates Apple, if that kid creates Amazon, if that kid creates Tesla, whatever it is, because all of their life they've been trained to think about different aspects of business, people, and how to raise money. But I think, to your original point, Shannon, or the question that you were trying to ask, is that I think certainly in our communities we put a lot of emphasis on sports, but not even understanding that that probability is very small. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I think that like the percentage of either making it to the NBA or NFL is like 1 in like 10,000 or something like that. And so I tell kids, like, listen, imagine if it was 10,000 French fries on the table, and I told you you could get one, right? Like that one French fry is your percentage or your chance that you can be. Wait, not just be in the NFL, or NBA. Not even talking about it being LeBron James. Not even talking about creating a 15-year career or so. And so, let's be clear. I think the sports is a tremendous avenue that can open doors. Because even for me, it opened doors in football and in track, and ran track at Temple, and it certainly opened up doors. But I think a lot of times we put that as our number one, and then forgetting some of the basic things that are actually going to keep us around longer.
Mm, facts.
absolutely.
You talked a lot about, of course, your organization is about helping the youth. You talked a lot about your daughter. What is the legacy you want to leave behind for your daughter?
Um, legacy, legacy for me or legacy for her?
For her.
Um, well, I certainly look at her. I want her to be someone who has a lot of different options about where she can take her career. I also want to alleviate a lot of that stress by being able to have things already planned out or paid for from her. So certainly, if she doesn't get a scholarship, I want to be financially prepared to pay for whatever school or college that she chooses. I want to be financially prepared to have her housing situated. Um, and I guess a number of other things that certainly people of other races sometimes have to their advantage, or to start from understanding how, like, we talk about the student loan crisis. Like, if we didn't have student loans, where would we be? Like, how much the student loans, among other things, stop people from home ownership. So the reason why that's, I guess the age used to be 30, now it's probably further. It's like, because your first 7, 8 years, you're trying to get credit, you're trying to pay off these loans, and you're still not paid, but you pay them off uh, at least to a respectable point where now your credit is okay. So I want to be able to give her that advantage that I see a lot of white people have for their kids and
Right.
stuff, right? So that, and it's funny because I saw something on the internet the other day that was like, like in our society, and I would say I've been a part of that too. It's like, we kind of shun people for getting head starts or their parents giving them that and this. And it's like, dog, that's my dream for her. If they
Yeah.
like, yo, well, you got that from your dad, you'd be like, yo, well, I got a good dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead
Right.
of acting like that's some type of disadvantage or that should be, you should look down on somebody for getting help because I think we all would like to get that help. Now, that's not to say that you don't have a certain amount of confidence and esteem when you've done everything yourself or when you've done it from the muscle. But it's like it took me a lot of years to get where I'm at. You
Right.
know, and I'm still not there where I want to be. So it's like if I could have shaved off 5 or 10, I would certainly like to do that for my daughter.
Right. I feel like that's anybody. Like I feel like that's
Yeah,
anybody. Like I'll take some help. I'll take some assistance.
right,
I feel like we got
Take
let
it
I'll
all.
take it all. I'll take it all. But I feel like that
right.
comes with age and wisdom and
Hmm.
seeing and being in different environments where you see what that could do for you. Um, because sometimes we all need a little help every now and then.
Right,
So
right.
going off that, maybe you answered that because I feel like that was a two in one. Do you have just like what do you want your legacy or what do you want the Thanksgiving legacy to be?
Yeah, so I feel like, well, one, I think that the beauty in starting anything is not only just that organization, but the platforms that can come from that. So I would certainly say that um, I think that my life was going to head wherever it was going to head anyway. But
Mhm.
certainly once I got into the business of being an entrepreneur and starting something from scratch, it opened up more doors and it allowed me to meet people that I probably wouldn't have met until I was 40 or 50 or something like that. And being around those people create more ideas and more businesses and things like that. So my legacy, I just want to one, I want to be able to for people to understand like, yo, this is somebody that came from the hood, came back to the hood, helped people, didn't stun on nobody. Also remain true to himself. So I tell people, even to my white friends, like, yo, like, like I got a lot of white friends, but like, yo, I'm black, right? Like black, black. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's not make a let's be clear about that. But also let my homies know, like, yo, I got some white friends too. So I always remain true to myself, and even trying to create businesses now that can help everybody. Like I said, certainly I'm black first. Certainly that matters to me first. But also, when we talk about business and finance and wealth, creating something that everybody can use is okay.
Right.
Like, you don't have to just, limit yourself to providing for this group or that group. Though certainly you should make sure that they aren't excluded and
Right.
certainly that you take care of your people first. So my legacy, I think Thanksgiving is going to be around for a while, and whether I'm the one running that or not, I think that I've created a system or a platform that it can continue even without me. And actually, I think that that's the way of looking at good leaders in successful businesses is that when I step away, that it can still run the same way, if not better, right? But I created it, and hey, Shannon, if you better at it than me, and my
Mhm.
heart or my desires is somewhere else, then you take it. Yeah,
Facts. It sounds like you're over here creating generational wealth, and that's what we are
Right.
I'm
talking
trying.
about.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
that's
trying
really
for
what it is.
sure.
All right. So what are you up to lately? I mean, I just want to make sure that we give you the platform to kind of say what your projects are. You are an entrepreneur, so what's going on with you
Yeah,
as a
yeah. So we could just stick to Banksgiving. So typically this week would have been our annual fundraiser that we typically had in person. Clearly, unfortunately, we won't be doing that because of the virus and things going on. So trying to figure out creative ways that we could still generate money. Like I said, we just finished up entrepreneurship program. It was a 7-week program with um, junior achievement and about teaching. Well, one, so with the class we actually went over all the steps to become an entrepreneur and actually gave them the platform and the money and the backing to whatever business that you guys wanted to create. Here it is. They decided on mask and hand sanitizer. So we're going to do that again in January. We're also about to start a Thanksgiving book club, one for young adults, high schoolers, right? And so that again is because I didn't notice until I was older the power of reading, the power of letting your mind get outside of your element and your neighborhoods, and just continually to educate yourself. I happen to think that if you if you aren't reading continuously and you aren't involved in some level of mental health or therapy, I really don't know how much you're actually growing outside of just living life. Like certainly life is going to teach you some lessons, right? But it's like, how do you jump in front of that if you aren't able to learn different things about yourself and others? So those are the two main things. So we got another entrepreneurship program coming up, as well as the Banksgiving book club. All of this is typically on our Instagram page, which is at Banksgiving Company. Our website, www.banksgiving.org. Um, and hopefully, throughout this time too, some other cool creations are there. I really do want to set the platform that I see much more young black and brown millionaires or even just successful people, because success could mean anything. Typically people always go to $1 million, and I talk to students all the time. I'm like, yo, but like if you made $400,000 a year, you think you would be mad? Like, do you know how much money that is? Like,
Right.
you
Right,
know what I mean?
right,
Like, if you ask somebody how much money they make, they be like, I want to make 1 million. Like, that's cute, like, and that's cool. But like,
right,
400,000 is a lot too, right? two
right.
hundred thousand is a lot. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
So, but yeah, but I certainly want to keep creating that platform and reaching these hundreds of kids throughout the years. That in 5 years or 10 years or so, again, there's a lot more financially savvy Black and brown men and women throughout the city that hopefully came from my program, or at least my program helped spark the idea.
So, two questions.
Mhm.
If is it just limited to Philadelphia, or have you kind of gone virtual because of the pandemic, where someone could join the webinar or sessions?
Yeah, yeah. So we run virtual. So like for instance, like these last group that I had, these 8 girls, I've never met these women in person.
Okay,
And so here's the thing. So the program was set in place before the pandemic,
right.
but ended up doing it during the pandemic and having to change some things. So that
Mhm.
had its own hardships as well. But I've actually never met any of these young women. We were able to still do things and ship things off, and because that's just the way of the world. I think that. Despite where this pandemic goes, this Zoom,
Mhm.
this online teaching, these pods of kids in school and things like that, I think they're going to be around for a while. And there also is going to be a group of people who don't even feel comfortable sending their kids back outside for a
Right,
long time.
right.
I certainly go back and forth about that myself. So yes, but to your point, it has helped us expand into other cities,
Okay.
which was always on the goal, which was always one of the goals, but was a little harder to enact
Mhm.
originally. But now, it's helping us.
Perfect. And then, if people want to donate,
Yeah.
um, where's the best place? Is there specific projects? I mean, I know you said the hand sanitizers they can donate to. Can they donate to Thanksgiving at all? Just give us the lay down rundown.
Well, here's the thing: the hand sanitizer they could buy. They don't got to donate, right? You
Yep.
could buy it, and we'll get that over to you. Hand sanitizers and face masks.
And they can
But
buy that
donation.
Thanksgiving.com, or do they go to the thing's website?
Yep, Banksgiving.org. Actually, Banksgiving.org/YWE, that's Young Women's Entrepreneurs, is what the YWE stands for. But if you go to Banksgiving.org and just hit the donate tab, then you can put in your PayPal or credit card or however that is, and you could just put in whatever donation that you see fit. Certainly, we're always looking at partnering with other organizations. One thing that I have learned is that you know getting with others, again, it helps you get there faster, right? So
Right.
using your platform, using my platform, and how we can come together in sync to help both of our missions is really the goal. And it's so many organizations out here essentially that are doing some of the same things or things that could be aligned,
Right.
but we're always in competition with each other.
Mhm.
And it's like, yo, listen, it's a space for all of us to eat.
Right.
Like let's get that, let's get together and let's come up with a plan and let's see how everybody could win. So that's certainly always something that's been on my board of things to do as well.
What's up?
This,
So
yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much for all the gems you dropped today. I think, financial literacy for me personally has become such an important facet that I'm trying to grow and get more knowledge in. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate Thanksgiving for all that it
No
is doing,
doubt.
all that it will do in the future. So thank you for coming on to our
yeah,
podcast.
thank you so much.
Thank
We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Jared. I wish the podcast the best. Interested in seeing what you guys do after this. Moving forward, I think that it is definitely some power in, again, creating these spaces for people to be able to show whatever it is that they're doing, and certainly some of the positives. And if that's positive Black people, I certainly support it. And we need more things like this because we haven't always had these platforms. So continue doing what y'all doing, and you certainly have my best wishes.
Thank you so much. This is another episode of Not Your Enemy Speak Out Sessions. See you later, guys.
We'll see y'all next time.